All right, let's get started. All right, first of all, Optus. So I know nothing about technology. My husband is an IT expert. He knows a lot about technology. So I'm going to ask him a lot of dumb questions, and he's going to try and answer them for me. All right, so let's start with Optus, the hacking scandal. Can you just tell me a little bit about it first? What's happened?
Okay, in non-technical terms, someone has accessed inside the Optus network. They've gone for the customer list, which has details like first name, last name, date of birth, driver's license number, all the really...
I've heard about the driver's license numbers.
Yes.
But you can change those.
In some states, yes.
Not in WA?
I'm not sure about WA. I'm sorry.
Okay,
it's something
that's
I'm
right.
not sure about. I can look it up if you'd like me to.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Do you wanna quickly look it up? So driver's license numbers can be changed in some states. What about the states where driver's license numbers can't be changed? Are they just gonna have to deal with their... I don't... Hoi hoi. Yeah. We're talking about technology, and there was a huge Optus scandal here in Australia where 1 million people's information got stolen, including driver's license. No, 8 million.
Yeah.
8 million people got their information stolen, and it was a huge scandal. Optus is like the Dutch KPN, kind of similar.
Not quite KPN. It would be like what's the secondary...
Like Vodafone? I mean, we've got KPN, Vodafone.
It's the second biggest.
Second biggest, yeah.
Yeah, it's the second biggest telco provider, and as far as you understand, yeah, everything has been...
Yeah, it is horrible. And the hackers actually asked for $1 million in exchange for all of this information, and everyone was like, what's going on? $1 million is not a lot of money. Why are they asking for just $1 million? And then all of a sudden I heard today that they've apologized and said they're not gonna release any of the information. Smart hackers. Yeah. Very dumb hackers. That was another question I had, because Optus said that the hacking was really sophisticated, and I've heard that it was not at all.
No. The putting it sophisticated was trying to cover up the fact that it was a lot of like exploit of vulnerable systems, just out of date things.
They just had terrible security, and this person took advantage of it.
Yeah, terrible security. Optus thought, we'll say it was sophisticated because of what was stolen, and it kind of wasn't. And the problem, one of the problems is when you have a breach of this magnitude, they try and cover it up, and too many technicians who know the true story go out and say,
No. Apparently it was not sophisticated. But if you look at the message that the hacker has also put online, it reads very young. Right? Yeah. It reads like someone, teenager in a basement, in their parents' basement, hacking these millions of people's information. So it's a bit of a scandal for Optus, but they are not handling it well. Like they're not at all. Their compensation apparently has not been very good. It's just all round not been very good.
There's been a lot of suggestion. Even it's like, we'll only compensate you if you can prove that your information has been used in a malicious way, and it's just like,
how are you supposed to be able to do that? That's ridiculous. What, I'm supposed to prove that my information has been taken and used maliciously? That doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, it's...
What? You're the one that had the information and let it get leaked. Why do I have to... Why is the onus of proof on me in any way? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, so this is far from over. There'll be lots of screaming for the months to come.
I've heard nothing but people saying they're going to quit being with Optus. I wonder if Optus is even going to survive this.
I think it will. They have quite a large business presence. There's other markets they're in. It's it's certainly going to impact them for a long period of time. But just like Vodafone Australia went through a similar...
But they handled it well, right? Like they said, we're really sorry. We're going to do everything we can to make it better.
Yeah, the one I was thinking of was...
Hello, Random Content 3000.
The one I was thinking of was back in... is sort of around 2010, is they just had an insane amount of... network issues. They had tens of thousands of complaints.
That's the other thing I wanted to ask you about. So this whole Optus hack has been horrible, right? Just all around terrible. Now, malware in general, there is a lot of low tech, very non-sophisticated malware out there, and I just wanted to ask you, what kind of stuff do you see a lot of? Like, what is the most common malware tactic that you see that people fall for?
So I would say, see, when you say malware, typically you're talking about a piece of malicious software or code, which can break into things and attack people or collect details. And I mean, those are common. There's keyloggers. There's
Sorry, what's a keylogger?
So a keylogger is a piece of software that you that infects your computer and collects all your keystrokes and mouse movements.
Like a Trojan horse?
So a Trojan horse is a type of attack. A Trojan horse is something which sneaks in, that looks innocuous and has a malicious component to it.
Okay, so a keylogger. So let me just put it in simple terms. So a keylogger is some kind of software that you get that comes onto your device somehow, and it just tracks everything you do. So whenever you're typing in anything, it tracks what you're doing.
Yes. So
how do you get one of those things?
Like
how do you get a keylogger?
Usually going to a dodgy site, something like that.
Okay, so clicking on links you shouldn't click on.
Someone has to get that onto your machine in some way. So that's why, like, the biggest, scariest piece of malware isn't really malware. It's exploiting human behavior. The biggest hacks which have happened in the last couple of weeks are a breach of Uber and a breach of Blizzard. And
she's saying, so not just computers and laptops, but also phones.
Yes. So phones, as the software's a lot newer, they've got a lot more security functions in place, but it is still possible for someone to build something malicious which can track things on your phone. And that usually comes from downloading a suspect app. Because
I remember growing up, right? And they always said, oh, Apple is safe. Apple can't get viruses. Is that still the case or not?
It's not the case as much as it once was.
But it used to be the case. So it wasn't a lie?
It wasn't a lie, but the way I see about it is that it was mainly talked about like that because the market wasn't there. Not only was there was security inbuilt with the fact that it was Unix-based, which is the OS type that it's built from.
So, hang on, Unix is OS? Oh, okay, so like iPhone OS or like...
So, yeah, iPhone OS, Mac OS, they're built off this very, very old operating system called Unix, which is quite secure with the way it's put together.
Okay.
The problem is, like, there was a time for a long time where Apple didn't have much of a market share, and if you're going to build something malicious, going after a small market share, there may not be payoff. There's a lot of difficulty in doing the malicious thing. That being said, even like in 2007, I remember reading a story where there was a hacking competition where they'd give each of the professionals...
Sorry, I just want to say one thing. TikTok, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat, okay? We don't know everything, and I certainly know nothing about technology, but he knows a lot. So if you have any questions, please give it a go, yeah? All right.
Sorry,
I cut you off.
That's okay. With kind of Mac OS and
That's right, and the Unix. That's right. That's what
Yes.
we were talking about.
we
Oh,
were
I kind
talking
of
about
zoned out.
malicious software. That's okay. In 2007, there was a hacking contest where they would give.
They have hacking contests?
Hacking contests. Yes, it's become a bigger and bigger thing, where pretty much they'll give. The big one that's very popular right now is Capture the Flag, where they will give you a machine that's got a series of vulnerabilities, and you've got to find them and break through each of these lines
That actually
to
sounds
catch
like
the
fun.
flag. Yeah. These contests,
So do you
like
win?
hobby
Do you win
joints.
stuff?
Oh yeah. They're usually run by either like software cyber security companies. Often run them. There's one with like prizes of a few $1 million or like hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you can join.
What?
But there's usually, in order to join, there's like a hacking test of sorts that you have to do in order to prove that you're worthy of participating in
Worthy
the
of
event.
participation. Okay. So
Yeah.
what kind of test would that be? Just like you have to find
Usually
the code?
it's hacking something else.
Yeah,
So
well, that
hacking
makes
something
sense.
basic to show that you
That's
are
so
good.
cool. There's
yeah.
hacking contests. I
Yeah.
never knew that. That's insane.
So, one of these hacking contests, they give you a machine, and you're allowed to turn up with whatever software you've got, and they time how long it takes you to get to a point where you have full control, or unrestricted control of that machine, even though you don't know any passwords or anything. So it's usually like you build a malicious USB, you plug that USB in, and it does an attack.
And that's why you never plug in a random USB into anything.
Exactly. Even when it's for an art project, even for an art installation, it's not a good idea. Because there will be.
I can't hack. That's the problem. Otherwise, I would join the competition.
There'd be the malicious USBs where they can breach a machine in like 10 seconds. Because it's just sending a series of scripts which
Wow.
can exploit some low-level things.
That's actually like amazing. All right, I want to move on.
Yes.
So there's this thing called the streaming wars, and Razer is, I know it's a brand of laptop, right? I don't know anything more than that. And they have like a snake as a...
So it's a gaming company. Yes, they have the as the logo. They have the Hydra, the mythical Greek
right.
snake. Yep. As the logo. They do keyboards. They do gaming mice. They do gaming mice pads because that's a big thing. And
Okay, so what's
they do laptops.
so there's
So
the
the-
handheld streaming war.
Okay.
Is the title that I saw, but I don't know what that means.
Okay, so the Switch is what's made it really popular, but the idea of portable gaming is getting to a point because hardware is getting so good that you can actually run a pretty decent game on a handheld device. One of the big gaming companies, you may have heard of it, called Valve, who makes Steam.
I know Valve.
Valve, who makes Steam and are popular
Oh, does Razer do scooters as well?
Wrong Razer, but yes, there were Razer scooters. That's unfortunately a different brand.
Oh, a different. Okay.
Yeah, they may do an electric scooter. I could see the Razer, as in the gaming
Branching
peripherals
off.
brand, doing a scooter. They did do a N95 mask last year that lit up with LEDs.
That's so random. What?
Yeah. Oh, it was just a marketing ploy.
Of course, but
Yeah.
still, that's random. All right, so Razer handheld. We've got the wait, no.
So we've got Valve making
Switch.
them. We've got Logitech making them. They look very similar to a Switch.
So the first one was like that PlayStation one with the disc at the back. What was it called? The
PSP.
PSP. Yes, guys,
PSP.
throwback to PSPs. They were elite.
What I thought was elite was Game Gear. Shout out to Game Gear. I'm sorry you lost. It was very worth it. You beat Lynx.
Were you into zooms as well?
Okay. The Game Gear was a full
Nintendo DS. Yes.
Okay, the Game Gear, early 90s, to compete with the Game Boy, because they're like, oh, the Game Boy, that's got a monochrome screen and, plays dedicated Game Boy games. The Game Gear was released by Sega. It was a full Sega Mega Drive or Master System, depending on where you're from, and you plugged in the full cartridges, and it was a full color game. Anyway,
He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Portable.
That was after. Yeah, she brought her PSP to school. Yeah.
Portable games. There's these consoles which are gaining popularity, which are pretty much running like Windows, but in a really Switch type form
what
factor.
are they called? Because I don't think I've ever seen any of them.
I feel like they need it. They need a name.
Yeah, you should have a little look and see if you can find some.
Steam Deck. There it is.
Yeah, but I love the Switch.
So yeah, very, very...
Steam Deck.
Steam Deck, it looks very, very much like a Switch.
It does, kind of. Like, it is if the Switch and an Xbox had a baby.
Yeah, it's got a few more buttons and some touch sensors.
It looks a little bit like an Xbox, like as if Microsoft made it. Oh, it is by Microsoft, isn't it? No, it's not. It runs Microsoft. Sorry, I'm asking difficult questions.
Not really, but you can get Windows running on it. You can get Windows running on it. But it's actually its own kind of version of Steam. Now, this has got
Does it run
good...
Steam?
So yeah, it runs an inbuilt version of Steam.
So you could basically play any game that you could play on Steam, but
most games. But that's just it. It's kind of underpowered. So games 5-10 years old, they would play okay.
Like, let's be real, the Switch is underpowered.
The Switch is underpowered. So the kind of leap to try and shorten the gap between newer games, which require much more stronger hardware and stuff like this, is so
Razer's trying to join this race.
Razer is one of the companies doing it where you stream games. So the game is actually running on the cloud. It's running on a server somewhere else. That's running the game, and you are remotely controlling that game and seeing that game on your handheld.
Am I the only one that's tired of digital games? I want my games to be physical. I want to be able to borrow them. I want to be able to give my games to someone else or sell them on if I don't like them. Is it just me? Okay.
So it's
just me.
It's kind of something I find amusing. 2013, Microsoft announces the Xbox One, and it's going to be mainly digital supported. Everybody takes the piss. Everybody thinks this is the worst idea ever. Sony just mock the heck out of it because it's going to make sharing games so complicated. And fast forward to 2020, they've released a digital-only console. Yeah. 7 years to change opinion, I think.
I hate it.
I hate it.
Is
not a long time.
I've downloaded digital games because I have to, because they only did a digital version, right? Yeah. Like the Ace Attorney trilogy. But I don't like having just digital games. I don't like it. No, not just. Thank you. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
I think we're really we are starting to see that problem kind of happen in the background. iOS, or Apple rather, keep discontinuing apps that haven't been updated on their app store. They just delete them. You can't download them anymore. If you happen to have them still on a device, yes, you can use them on the device. But if they haven't been updated in so long, they're like, no, they must be dodgy, they must be insecure. And they get removed, and you can't buy them, you can't download them again. And that's really unfortunate, and it shows that the same thing will happen with all these digital games. They'll just be... obsolescence will be more difficult.
I just wanted to point out that the thing that you're talking about right now, this is different. So you know how there's black history, like as in blackouts of information, that we currently live in a blackout part of history, right? So because all of the data that we're currently creating and storing, the way that we're creating and storing it is so niche. There's already so much data that has gone missing and that we're never going to be able to retrieve. Anyway, I just had an existential crisis there for a moment.
It's the big scary thing about digital-only content is, are we making sure it's still available? Preservationists absolutely hate it.
Yeah. Well, remember the mini disc? That is gone. Does anyone have a mini disc player anymore? I played...
There's pretty dedicated followings of mini disc, but anyway.
Yeah, well, okay, maybe something a little bit less niche. But you know what I mean.
Yes.
That kind of stuff.
There's no one of these things with... Yeah, okay, mini disc you bring up. it's hard to find a good mini disc player now because there's no more players being manufactured. It's easy to find mini discs,
Yeah.
but actually playing them
Playing
well
them.
or playing them on a device.
Well, that's the LPs are making a comeback. I've seen new LPs.
Yeah.
I saw this guy on TikTok that actually had an LP player that he bought at the post office, the Australia Post, and it worked amazingly. So that was something.
Yeah.
Do you mind if we move on
Not at all.
to DALL-E? So DALL-E is AI, right?
Yes.
Can you just explain to me how it works a little bit? Because I read the title and it made no sense to me.
Okay. Very, very basically and non-technically, there's been lots of images just
Because it
available.
seems to have suddenly made a huge leap. Like it just all of a sudden I see all this AI
it has made
everywhere.
a huge leap. So over the last 10 years, I think there's been more pictures generated, like more pictures taken, more pictures produced than there has been really for probably most of human existence. All those pictures, a lot of pictures have been tagged and added metadata, and there's been image identification has been very good. So you can see an image of a scene, and you can now robots have been trained to pick out details. Robots have been trained to pick out details of the images.
It does sound like Wall-E. You're not wrong. It looks like Wall-E. It's
Yes.
just one letter difference.
Yes.
So it's an AI. So I don't know if you've seen like on Canva, you can now type into Canva. You can literally say blue elephant wearing a flower crown, and it will generate an image that looks like a blue elephant wearing a flower crown. And just the fact that we can do that now, the fact that we can just have AI create these images that don't exist. They don't exist. They just are suddenly made by your, idea. Yeah, exactly. Mind blown. It's crazy. So you can just type in something, AI creates this image, and you're creating a blue elephant wearing a flower crown.
Yeah, using one of the more basic ones. But
We'll
yes.
show it to you in a sec.
Yeah.
It takes it says up to 2 minutes, so in a moment we'll show you what it looks like. But I just find that crazy. But so how does that work? How come we've suddenly made this leap? I swear it happened in 5 seconds.
It did happen over a very... It feels like a brief period of time, but people have been working on this for a long time. And it's just now, because it's gotten good, that it's noticeable. So images generated from prompts have really been around for about 10 years now. But they've just been bad. And the problem is...
Oh, there it is. There it is. Here we go. Hang on. Let me show you.
Okay.
Can you see? Can you see? Oh, I can't see.
There we go. Elephant.
Elephant wearing a flower crown. There you go.
So it's from all these tagged images. It's
Roche, but meeting the beauty standards.
It's from people.
I think we'll get a flower if we do that.
It's from people endlessly tagging images with what's in them. Computers learning to interpret.
Oh,
that.
hang on. Before this is called Crayon. So CRAIYON.com. So you can go and play with it yourself as well. Yeah,
So
Crayon.
this is using one of the image generators called DALL-E Mini. It's one of the smaller sets. So it's technically not the good one.
It
if
still
you want to
did
get
a
the
pretty
data.
good job.
It's amazing.
Looks pretty crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
So images have been tagged.
I agree.
The computers have learnt what, in this case, what an elephant looks like, what a flower looks like, what a flower crown looks like, and there's now the big leap that's been made most recently is understanding that when someone's wearing a flower crown, it's on the top of their head. It's looking through lots of images and comparing little bits of information, being able to merge them together.
Yeah. But I just find that insane. Like, it just mind blows. It's just crazy to me how far it's suddenly come. All right, so moving on to our last topic of the evening, if that's okay.
Yes.
So Elon Musk said something about buying Twitter, and then he backed out of the deal.
Yeah.
Can you just rehash for me what happened?
Okay. He decided that he was going to buy Twitter. Now, there's lots of speculation about why a billionaire would want to buy Twitter. Something about it making money, something about, well, if you control the outlet, suddenly you can control how people talk about you, and other such things like that. Everything, a little bit open to interpretation about what it...
Because Elon Musk is now the richest man alive, right? Rather than Jeff Bezos.
It bounces around.
It does bounce around. But I think he was the richest man, at least for a little while there.
Yeah. He has been. He's got spare change. He can go buy Twitter if he wants.
But now he's backing out of the deal.
He's backing out of
And he said something about bots.
So his excuse was saying that there weren't as many real accounts that he thought. He's saying Twitter was lying about the amount of bot accounts. And yes, there are a lot of bot accounts. But it just seems to be a little bit sus, mainly because that comment about the bots and the backing out came after some discussion about, well, if you're going to buy Twitter, you will actually have to answer to a board. There will be regulations on you because all of a sudden... I won't
just have free reign to be able to do whatever
He
I want.
He was told, actually, it doesn't work like that. You won't have free reign. And suddenly it's like, oh,
He could start his own Twitter, though. That's something he could do. He has a lot of money.
That's something, but there's still content moderation. There's still quite strict laws about what your obligations are.
That's true.
So he could build his own, but Elon doesn't really build stuff.
That's right. He just acquires it halfway through.
He acquires, invests, and buys, companies. So most of the stuff he's bought, most of the stuff that you know him for, he just bought into.
Well, because PayPal was the first thing.
PayPal was the first thing, but again, he was kind of an investor and a bit of an engineer on it. But really, depending on the source you go to, it could be considered in a minor capacity.
Wow. So do you think he's going to end up buying Twitter? Because Twitter has said that he has to hold up to his end of the bargain, right?
It pretty much leaned towards, from the articles that I've read, it seems to suggest he will have a very hard time backing out. He's pretty much legally forced to, which is a really weird sentence to say, that somebody goes to acquire something, realizes
he made Tesla, so he didn't.
So the whole story is with Tesla. They were a separate company. He bought the title of founder. He said, I want to invest all this money in Tesla, but in exchange, I want to be given the title of founder.
Yeah, so he bought his way into becoming a founder of Tesla. Yeah. And he did become, a spokesperson and a main person.
I mean, he's an absolute, the way he engages and promotes himself and promotes his product. Look, I'm not dismissing he's not really involved, but yeah, in terms of actual
stuff.
Production, actual providing to humanity,
it's quite minimal. Well, maybe if we go to Mars one day, it'll be okay. I doubt it though. Yeah. But yeah. Anyway, I think that's it for all the topics, unless you have anything else to add.
No.
Does anyone have any questions? Just enjoyed listening? Then I'm gonna tick and head off. But I learned a few new things. I mean, the hacking competition is definitely one of my favorite new tidbits that I was not aware of.
Yes.
I need to learn how to hack so I can make money. I just wish I had money like him so I can give homeless people things. Aw, that's a nice way to be. Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? I'm glad you enjoyed it, Rose. All right, I hope you all have a lovely day, evening, and see you again sometime.
Please stay on the line for a brief survey.
No. Please don't. No. Bye.
Bye. That was fun.
Do you want to stop the
Yes,
camera?
Stop the recordings, all of them.